Am I the asshole for not letting my niece use her iPad during our wedding ceremony? My wife and I got married September 4th, and this drama is still going on. We paid a lot of money for a videographer to capture our ceremony. We told everyone at the rehearsal dinner we would be having everyone turn their devices off for the ceremony, just so that there wouldn't be any distractions. My brother pulled me aside later on to tell me that his daughter, 4F, would need to have her iPad to get through the ceremony, otherwise she would be really noisy and wouldn't sit still and might ruin the day for us. I told him no, she wouldn't be using it because there's a chance she may turn the volume on or something, and I really don't want to take that risk. I thought that was the end of it, but the next day, my brother, who was also my best man, came to me and said that his daughter was having a hard time today and that she would need her iPad. I again told him no. He said that if she didn't have it, she would make a fuss, and the missus wouldn't want that ruining her big day, now would she? And that kinda pissed me off because yeah, it's her day, but it's also mine. I'm marrying the woman I love, and we both made this no devices decision together. I told him if he couldn't respect it, then his daughter could wait outside with either him or his wife. But her iPad wouldn't be in there. He was annoyed, but we left it at that. And then it happens. Middle of the ceremony, we finally found the perfect house, and then some fumbling as my sil is trying to get the iPad to shut off and my niece starts to whine. Some ad started playing as my niece was playing a game. My wife and I were annoyed, but we, along with everyone else, laughed it off and continued on. During the reception, my sil and brother ran up to us, saying they didn't know the volume was up so loud, and they had my niece apologize for it. My wife said it's done and over with and it was rude of you to do. My bro said it wasn't fair, so I said that it wasn't fair, sil allowed it seeing as we already talked about it and that going against what we had already asked of them and the iPad, was a major dick move. And that them not apologizing, but having their daughter make a big show of doing so was sending the wrong message seeing as she's 4 and she doesn't understand. And that it was them who allowed it to happen. My brother said that it wasn't that deep and that I'm being ridiculous. Then the rest of the reception was kind of awkward, even during the best man speech. He tried to make a joke, yeah, that was my daughter's iPad making the noise. She likes to be a rule breaker. And it just made my wife and I angry. I've said very few things to him since this happened. Since this happened, I've said very few things to my brother. My parents are starting to think I'm the asshole for not just moving on and for waiting for him to apologize. Am I the asshole? Edit. I keep seeing this come up about how if we didn't want this to happen, then we should have had a child-free wedding. We essentially did in the fact that we told everyone, hey, people will be drinking, so if you want to leave the kids at home, that's fine with us. And most people did. My niece came, and 4 other children. One being only 7-month-old, and then a 5, 7 and 12-year-old. It also helps that naturally, both sides of the family are late-night partiers, so to leave the kids home wasn't a huge offense. And for those asking what we would have done had she instead started fussing and crying, that's fine with us. We would have rather had that instead of a 30-second YouTube ad going on and then an awkward scramble to get it turned off, which threw off the flow of our vows. If she started fussing, that's something we could have laughed about, and her mom would have taken her outside. Instead we had all our guests turning to look at them in a very awkward display of, you were asked to do one thing. And yes, we still laughed, but for us, it wasn't the same. It really wasn't. As for offering up other solutions for my brother and sil to use to entertain their daughter, respectfully, that's not my job. I'm not her parent. We told them no devices. They had several options as people have mentioned. And we are not her parents, so it wasn't on us to offer up alternative suggestions, seeing as we were a little more preoccupied with getting everything in order to be married. Maybe I shouldn't be so bothered by this, but I am because it was the lack of courtesy and apology on my brother and sil's behalf. My niece apologizing doesn't really mean anything because she doesn't understand what she did. Her mom handed her the iPad. My niece is 4 and doesn't understand that what happened was rude, she doesn't grasp that yet. It should have been on my brother and sil to apologize. Why do people have child-free weddings? This is an example of why people have child-free weddings. Except the bride and groom. You and your missus are not the asshole, op. Not the asshole. Sil could have sat outside with the kid if she needed the iPad. You made your boundaries clear, and your worst fear happened. Then for him to blow it off is disrespectful. They both need to sincerely apologize as adults and buy you guys dinner or something. Not the asshole. You were up front, and frankly 4 isn't that young. My kids could certainly sit through a 20-minute ceremony at that point. Heck, mine used to sit quietly that long watching completely random outdoor weddings because they enjoyed all the pretty clothes. Not the asshole. Geez, I hate parents that always let the devices do the parenting. You said no, they didn't listen, and they didn't even take the time to make sure the volume was down. Yes, keeping a 4-yo totally still for 30 minutes can be a challenge. If they don't think they could do it, then it's on them to find another solution, like having someone watching her at home. Not the asshole. They knew beforehand that no electronics would be allowed during the ceremony, and besides it's just rude in general to be on your phone, iPad during a wedding. I'm addicted to my phone, but I can put the damn thing away for a bit during an important event. No one needs a fucking iPad, and I honestly think her parents should be ashamed for making her that dependent on technology so early in her life. Not the asshole. You told them. They refused to follow the rule, then blamed their toddler. Not mature at all. Totally agree with you. It always interests me when people outside of a conflict pressure one side to forgive and forget, but don't apply any pressure to the other side to apologize, admit genuinely their mistake, and make amends. Why is it, do you think they are so unbalanced? Is it because that they just want peace at any cost? Perhaps your brother has never been forced to follow someone else's rule whether he agrees with it or not. Perhaps he has never had to apologize, acknowledge and make amends. Not the asshole. When I was little and had to go to a wedding, or funeral, or church, or anywhere we needed to be quiet, we would bring books to look at, and crayons and paper. I think it's ridiculous how quickly everyone jumps to a screen to distract kids. It's bad for their brain and social skills. You clearly stated your expectations for your ceremony. You clearly stated them multiple times, and your brother not only doesn't listen, but disregards what you said like it was no biggie. By him disregarding what you said shows he has no respect for you, especially drawing attention to it during his speech. Not the asshole. I'm sorry that this happened. Am I the asshole for not wearing makeup? Throwaway. Best friend follows me on Reddit, but thankfully isn't active on anything beyond Animal Crossing subs. 24 female. Work with this guy I'll call John. I got hired during the pandemic and worked from home with twice-a-week Zoom meetings, in which I never wore makeup. When we were allowed to go into work, I continued to not wear makeup. I have never worn makeup before and do not know how to apply it. I also want to avoid it because it causes acne problems. I still do my hair and wear decent clothes. My coworker, John, late 20s, asked me out on a date and I said sure. It was Monday at Cheddar's because we were both off. I did not wear makeup to this date. My best friend, Jane, let me borrow her shoes for the date, and told me that I was giving him the wrong impression by not wearing makeup. I said why? She said it makes it look like I don't care about the date. I don't understand this, because I'm going to wear a nice dress and her nice shoes out, and I feel like wearing makeup to the date gives the wrong impression because I simply do not wear it. Jane offered to do my makeup for me, I refused because I have none. John has seen me without makeup plenty of times before. We work together and he has seen me in Zoom calls and in the workplace and knows I just don't wear it. Jane offered to bring hers over. I was getting really uncomfortable because I don't want to wear any, so I told her a firm no and went on my date. It went fine. He's a really nice guy. But at the end he asked, "So is this a work lunch?" Turns out he did have a problem with my not wearing makeup, which I feel is ridiculous. John was dressed basically the same as he always was to work at our date except for like an expensive watch. I told this to my parents. My dad agrees with me, and says John knew what I was like regarding makeup before the date and if he has a problem, that's on him. My mom on the other hand says that not wearing makeup was a bitch move, because it shows I'm not interested. I haven't told Jane, in case she rubs it in my face, but John has brought it up to one of our random coworkers and said that I didn't try. Coworker says I should have worn makeup, but also says John also shouldn't have expected it of me, and it would have been a nice surprise. I'm getting many conflicting verdicts in this situation. Am I the asshole? Edit. Thank you all for the responses. I do not want to respond to all of them with slightly different variations of, thanks for responding, so I will put this here. I think going forward, next time, if I'm asked out on a date, I will tell the person point blank I do not wear makeup and see how it pans out and avoid all this headache. Thank you everyone. Edit number 2. Wow, this got a lot of responses. I have some people telling me to not bother doing what I said I would do in the first edit, and now that it's been a couple of hours I definitely agree that was a stupid thing for me to think lol. I sincerely appreciate the amount of women here telling me my choices are valid, because it always hurt the most from women in my life telling me I was in the wrong for my personal decision. Fellas, your input was really appreciated too, but I just had to give a shout out to my ladies for making me feel better and more confident about my decision. I've had some people say I should file a complaint. I don't want to escalate a mediocre date and some gossip into an HR issue, but I think I'm going to tell John and Co some of the witty responses I've received here, like asking them why they don't wear makeup, if they bring it up again. I've also told Jane about the date and the coworker thing, and she's very apologetic and is taking me out to dinner tomorrow night to make up for my bad work lunch. Thank you all for your responses. Not the asshole. Can I just check, have I been time traveled back to the 1950s? This is so beyond ridiculous of everyone, except your dad. You haven't done anything wrong, and I'm sorry you're surrounded by this level of misogyny. Not the asshole. I've never worn makeup. I have clear skin and like my face, so I only wear mascara when I'm feeling fancy. Two different dudes have remarked in shock after waking up together for the first time, "You look the same as last night." And I was like, yeah. This is my face and it always looks like this. Any dude who's offended by you not wearing makeup isn't a good match for you. That's what first dates are for. Fun anecdote. My male HSBFF came from a super sexist family, and his mother told him not to trust me because, you can't trust a girl who doesn't wear makeup. We had a great laugh about that. Why would you want to present yourself as something you're not? Makeup is a personal choice and there is no expectation to wear it on a date, or anywhere else for that matter, other than societal pressure to do so. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. No, this guy is not worth your time at all. You're confident without makeup, that's who you are. You shouldn't have to change that for someone else. And that's a sorry excuse for, you didn't try, because you did wear a nice dress and shoes. Stay strong, girl, and some nice guy will come around who isn't so superficial and vain. Not the asshole, but your first mistake was dating a guy from work. Don't $hit where you eat. Not the asshole. You don't wear makeup ever. Why would this time be any different? Makeup is a choice and should be for the wearer, not the other people around them. Your mom is the asshole though for calling you a bitch about it. Not the asshole. John sure was one though. He knows you, has never seen you on makeup and makes a comment like that. Glad you were able to find out early. Not the asshole. I never wear makeup and when I do my husband tells me I look prettier without it. Hold out for this because it exists. I hate makeup also, and if you do then set that boundary firm. Am I the asshole for telling my bio that she will not get the title mom from me? Okay, this is a long story so I'm sorry. I, 29F, am adopted. I was adopted out of foster care at the age of 12. My bio mom was an addict and I spent most of my young life in foster care until I was adopted. I'm not going to go through the horror of foster care, but I was abused a lot. Now I am a ginger. My mom and dad are both African American. This is an important detail. They were my foster parents and the only adults I ever trusted in that point in time. My mom has been there for me for everything since she got custody of me, even before adopting. I met my bio again when I was 27. She is no longer an addict it seems, but was very upset that I am married outside of my race and have mixed children. After that I didn't speak to her again until a few weeks ago. She called because she saw a video on my Mills Facebook of my children and wanted to reconcile and meet them. I told her no. Today I was talking to my mom at the grocery store, we ran into each other, and my bio showed up. My mom didn't want to talk to her, for obvious reasons, kissed my cheek, and told me to video chat her so she can see her grandbabies when I get home. I have 9 Malio twins that were preemies, so we limit human exposure right now. I just agreed and said, bye mama. Tell dad I said hi. My bio then threw a fit and told me, I am your mother. How dare you call that woman mama? Then she went on a rant about me not allowing her to see my children, and refusing contact with her. It absolutely pissed me off, so I yelled at her that she never has been nor will she ever be my mother and not to insult my mom again. I also told her she will never be allowed to be part of my or my family's lives. She ended up crying and said she really is trying and then walked away. Now I kind of feel like an asshole. I could probably have been a little nicer or had some tact. However, I suck at thinking my thoughts through when I get upset. Am I the asshole here? Edit. I'm sorry for the hiatus. I had to get my babies fed, cleaned up, and put to bed. First I want to say thank you to everyone that took the time to comment. I'm reading through every comment now. To answer some questions, I think the "I'm trying" comment meant she is trying to be a better person. I'm not really sure. She can't get to my children. Only family members, my sil or mil, babysit, and they know she isn't allowed to see them. I don't think she knows where I live though. Although it wouldn't be shocking if she did stalk me or my husband. I will still be going no contact. Neither I nor my husband trust her, and her commentary about my mom just made another reason to not trust her. And yes, my adoptive parents are amazing people. They have always treated me like their own. My mama was the one who taught me how to do all of the things moms teach. They were the ones up with me in the middle of the night when I would wake up from nightmares. They were the ones taking me to therapy and making sure I got the help I needed. They are the ones that comforted me and came to all my school functions. I feel like an awful person for being so angry and allowing myself to burst. I'm embarrassed about it and feel like an ass. I do tend to let my emotions get the better of me. I need to work on that. I still feel awful for the way I reacted. I should have been calmer about it. However, I don't feel awful about standing up for my mom. My mom is amazing and is the only one deserving of the title to me. I just don't like hurting people's feelings. You all make me feel better about myself, thank you. Not the asshole. If she was really trying, she probably would not have opened her initial contact with you with disappointment about your mixed-race children. Don't feel bad at all. Go and see and don't look back. Info. Has she really been trying? Because it sounds like she is only trying to cause conflict. Not the asshole at all. She tacitly insulted your marriage. She directly insulted your mom. And she hasn't been around. She can't expect to waltz into your life and take over. You have a mom, and it's not her. I'm glad to hear that she's clean, but that doesn't negate her neglect that led to abuse, and it doesn't negate the parent-child bonds you have with your mom and dad. Really, she's lucky if you talk to her at all. NTA, she ain't your mom, she's your egg donor. Not the asshole. Your mom is who raised you, not mom because she gave birth. My wife and I are my daughter's parents. We're adoptive parents. Her birth mother has tried to overstep boundaries in the past, only to be reminded by my daughter who her mom really is. Not the asshole. My mom has been there for me for everything since she got custody of me, even before adopting. That's a mom. Then at 27, was very upset that I am married outside of my race and have mixed children. She shows up to spew bigotry. She's an asshole. If she can't take the time to learn from her mistakes and try changing, that's on her. If she can't do some basic math about her choices, her tears don't mean much. You don't owe her anything. You have a family you trust and love, and you are clear-eyed about who they are, and that's awesome. Not the asshole, not even close. Family is who you decide they are, not who gave you your genes. Her throwing a hissy fit at a grocery store shows she may be clean but sure as heck hasn't matured at all. I wouldn't want my kids around that mess, and my kids are in their 20s. Not the asshole, you owe her nothing. That said, you probably feel bad because you're a good person, and you don't like hurting other people even when they are assholes. That just shows even more how you're not the asshole. You didn't hurt her out of malice, or to get even for how she hurt you. You were protecting your family, which is an entirely appropriate and reasonable response. And if she could come and confront you in the store about how dare you call the woman who raised you, mama, then even if she genuinely believes that she is telling the truth about how she's trying, it shows that she's only trying because she wants the relationship. Not because she cares about you or your needs. And that's not trying at all, that's just selfishness. Am I the asshole for refusing to open the door for my sister when she brought her kids to stay with me? This is an ongoing conflict. Yesterday at 11 a.m. I was alone at home. DH went to work early and I was just starting my daily cleaning routine when the bell rang. I, F30, peeked through the hole and saw my sister, F36, and her 3 kids, 5, 3, 2. I did not open the door and talked to her behind it, and I'll explain why in a minute. She said she had an argument with her chronically ill husband, M34, and wanted to once again punish him by keeping the kids away from him until he apologized to her for what he said, which was regular argument stuff. Explanation: she started doing this when he got sick. Every time she gets in an argument with my brother-in-law, she'd take the kids and refuses to bring them back till he apologized to her. He has a medical condition that prevents him from getting outside the house, and she has been using that, and instead of taking the kids to our aunt's house this time, she brought them to me since aunt is out of town. She asked that I take the kids for 2 days, but I refused and pointed out how unacceptable and wrong of her to punish her husband who's already sick, and using the fact that he can't drive to go pick his kids up or at least see them against him, she'd keep them away for days. She started talking about how her husband doesn't care about her hurt feelings and how much she does for him. Also how this method has proven to be effective since it got him to recognize his wrongdoings and apologize, but I replied that he probably was only apologizing just to see the kids. I said it wasn't fair for the kids either, but she said they agreed to stay with me and told me to open the door cause they missed me so much. I refused and said I won't be responsible when brother-in-law finally decides to do something about this and get the cops involved. She yelled she's their mother so the cops won't do a damn thing about it and assured me my brother-in-law would never do that knowing how much she's cared for him, but I stood my ground and said I won't be opening the door. Period. She yelled saying I was unsupportive and selfish to keep my nieces and nephew out and refused to open the door for them. I suggested she go work her issues out like a rational adult and stop pulling cruel stunts that affects her husband and the kids' emotional, mental health. She took offense to that and said I was clearly on my BIL's side. She shamed me in front of the kids for 10+ minutes then left. Hours later my dad, who lives in another town, called shaming and berating me for not opening the door for his grandchildren, then insulting my sister and siding against her. I explained my reasons, but he said the kids are with my cousin and insisted I go pick them up. My husband said I should have opened the door for the kids and that he could see how dad would be upset with me for not taking the kids until my sister's conflict with her husband is resolved. He wants me to go pick the kids up, but I keep refusing, but I feel like unsupportive of my sister. More details about my brother-in-law. He has a chronic illness that's gotten worse lately and limited his ability to do most things. To my knowledge he's catheterized, wears a cannula, and a medical device so he can't drive or walk outside the house. My parents never liked him because he was already sick when my sister married him and said she was wasting her life with him, but she always say she loves him, but I'm not even sure judging by her recent actions. Not the asshole. Do not go and pick up the kids. Get in touch with CPS to explain the situation. Not the asshole. You have nailed it on the head. Your sister is weaponizing her kids against a guy who can't fight back. The guy is chronically ill and can't even leave the house to get them. She is abusive. There, I said it. She shouldn't worry about the cops getting involved. It's civil at this point. But boy, if husband gets a lawyer involved, will he have ammunition against her? Her husband, if he doesn't divorce her, will resent her, probably already does. And her kids, when they're old enough to figure out what she's doing, will resent her. Not the asshole. There's something deeply wrong with your family's dynamics here. That your dad is encouraging this is bizarre. It sounds like you need to lay down some firm boundaries with them. Not the asshole. What kind of monster is your sister? And apparently the rest of your family for thinking this is okay? Keeping the children of a chronically ill man away from him so he'll apologize? He probably didn't do anything to apologize for because your sister seems like a easily offended, selfish, cruel monster. She is abusing her husband, and her kids. She is teaching them this is how marriage works, use your kids to get what you want. Not the asshole. What the hell is wrong with your sister? Good for you for standing up to this abusive behavior. Call CPS and APS. This is abuse of all parties, and your sister needs to be reported to the authorities. Not the asshole. Your sister is manipulative against her sick husband. Using the kids like that isn't good. You stood your ground. I was thinking you could take in the kids once she leaves, drop them back to husband's house, and he could spend time with them before she does her shit again. Not the asshole. What she is doing is emotional abuse to both her husband and her kids. Don't take the kids anywhere but to their home. Not your circus, not your monkeys.